I'd love to hear your take on what's happening right now with domestic violence cases during this COVID-19 pandemic.
So, as you can probably imagine, the phone is ringing off the hook with questions about and cases about domestic violence. Um, Again, we all hear these rumors. We don't know which ones to believe or not. It appears to me, from an outsider looking in, that the police during this COVID-19 pandemic crisis are making arrests on three types of offenses: drunk driving, really, really serious assaultive felony type cases, or domestic violence. And domestic violence is it's an obvious consequence of what's happening right now. We're all under these shelter at home orders. We can't go out. We can't get away from each other. You have lots of people living in the same house that aren't used to spending as much time together. Spouses don't go to work all day. They don't get that time away from one another. The family unit has been redefined during these shelter at home orders, and domestic violence arrests and cases are going through the roof, as you can probably imagine. And it's probably going to get worse before it gets better, because of just the circumstances surrounding of how much we're locked down and how little ability we have to little freedom and ability we have to travel and get out of our houses. So we have seen a real impact on COVID-19 on domestic violence allegations and cases, and it's likely going to continue.
Well, that's bad news. I've also heard that alcohol sales are way up, and I'm sure that doesn't help when it comes to domestic violence issues.
As I said to you before, Erica, enough domestic violence cases have an element of drinking and alcohol involved in them that it is almost assumed on the part of police, prosecutors, and judges that alcohol was involved. Look, it's alcohol, being cooped up together, being on top of each other, the frustration and the short fuses and tempers that result from all that. As you said, that is a recipe for a domestic violence charge. I'm surprised, quite frankly, and I've seen a real increase in the amount of them. I'm surprised that there's not more. I'm surprised they're not happening all the time, because, as you said, people joke about this, but everyone kind of feels like they're living in Las Vegas in their own home, because no one knows what time it is. No one knows what day it is. And everyone starts drinking at any time of the day that it sounds like a good idea. And so you start drinking, and like you said, there's consequences to that, and sometimes bad stuff follows.
Well, it can be very serious. And so, it's great that, you're there, you're still working. I want to mention that, even though a lot of law offices are going virtual right now, you are working and you are running things very smoothly, and especially under these conditions. It's great that we have these virtual tools now. What's happening with court cases in this? I don't know if you want to talk about that right now, but this is, are people being put in jail longer? What's happening with that when they get arrested right now?
So, Erica, you're right. My office is open, 100% open. My phones are being answered by my assistant for her safety. She's working remotely unless she has to. She was in the office on Saturday. I'm working remotely and in the office as needed. Email is up. Our office is fully integrated by things like Zoom and a voice over internet phone system, a VPN. So if you have a legal problem, including domestic violence, we're open and here to help. What we're seeing happen in cases during this crisis is basically courts are closed. I mean, there's not a court that's truly open in Michigan. Federal court, the circuit courts, and the district courts at each level are closed. So what happens is the courts are basically handling emergency bond motions for people in jail, arraignments for people that are in custody, like when we discussed you got arrested for domestic violence on a Saturday, you get arraigned on a Sunday or a Monday. And then emergencies, true emergencies, like, you know, somebody's denying parenting time or child custody in a divorce case. That's it. Other than that, cases are indefinitely on hold. And each court is dealing with that differently. Some of the courts I have are issuing scheduling orders that were scheduled to have a pretrial in April. I've received court notices that they've been adjourned until June. Some courts are just saying, look, nothing's happening. When the crisis passes and we know when that is and courts reopen, we'll send you a new appearance notice and you'll come to court then. So it's really kind of all over the map. Certainly cases aren't going forward. No one is having jury trials because they're not bringing jurors into courts and exposing them to each other. But arrests are happening, arraignments are happening, cases are beginning and then being put on hold temporarily. And so, you know, and one of the things that I've done as a result of that is I've tried to give my acknowledgement or my small little thing that I can do to help medical professionals, nurses, doctors, medical techs, you know, doctor assistants, physician's assistants, etc., and other essential workers, like, you know, the folks that have to go into grocery stores and transport our goods and services. If you are charged with a domestic violence case or a drunk driving case, or really any case, and you are an essential worker, your case is going to start. You're going to get arrested and you're going to get arraigned. I will handle that arraignment. I will take care of those arrangements for you. I will take care of your initial appearance or arraignment at no cost and no obligation to you. You decide that you want to keep me as your lawyer, that's great. I'm happy to serve you. And if not, if you just need this stress and anxiety off your back so that you can go back to the hospital where you're treating COVID-19 patients, or you're going back to the grocery store so that you can put the meat, cheese, and toilet paper on the shelves, you just need that stress off your back so you can get back to work. I'm happy to do it for you, and then you can go on and hire whoever you want down the line if and when the courts reopen.
Wow, Mark, that's very generous, and thank you so much for doing that. I mean, those frontline workers are just a gem, and we need them. And it's great that you are, in your way, taking care of them in this pandemic time, or a time of uncertainty.
You know, look, I'm not trying to equate what I'm doing with what they're doing. I mean, they are literally on the front lines, and we all owe them a debt of gratitude for what they're doing. This is my small part. I mean, and I get it. It is a small part, but it's my small part. I'm a lawyer. This is how I can help, and this is how I am helping. As you said, thank you to all of those folks that are on the front lines fighting this for all of us.
Yes, and so and we're all trying to do our small part. Not everybody happens to work on the front line, so I just think it's great that you're doing what you can. I'm doing these business interviews. You know, that's what I can do. I also don't work on the front line, so it's a terrible time, and we'll all get through it, and we'll get to the other side. And you know, what I'd like to mention though is that if you do have a case, and you know, don't sit around waiting for this to be over to get professional help. If you need someone, give Mark's office a call, because they are ready and available. They're working now. It's a very smooth process, and they will give you the very best advice on what your options are. and give you a real look at what can happen if you bring your case to court, and it will go to court in these domestic violence. So, you know, honesty is key, and I know that Mark's really honest, and they're great at what they do. So give him a call.
Thank you for that. And you're 100% right, Erica. Just as a one final sort of thought, closing thought, the people that are taking care of their issues now are going to be in a much better position than those that just put it on the shelf and wait for 2 or 3 months until the courts are going to be reopened. When the courts reopen, it's going to be a mess. There are going to be weeks, if not months, of backlog cases that are going to have to go through the system like that, and they are not going to give you time to think about what you want to do. They're not going to give you time to think about who you want to hire as a lawyer. They're not going to give you time to think about a plea bargain. In the case of domestic violence, they're not going to give you time to think whether or not you want to take advantage of 769-4A. Your case is going to be push through the system, so you need to be prepared to hit the ground running. It's a really important piece of advice, and I think that what you said is fantastic.
Thank you so much. And thank you again for joining us today. This is a really good topic for people to hear about because of the situation, especially people being on top of each other, and these things are going to happen a little more often, unfortunately. So I'm really glad that we have you on here today to talk about the great information that you did, and help keep people informed during this time. And so thank you again. We hope to see you again soon. And I hope everyone stays safe.
Yeah, thank you, Erica. You as well. Be healthy, stay safe.